Ubisoft. Welcome to Assassin's Creed, or as I've always called it, everything is ladders. Guys, you left the Middle East and any contentious religious or cultural beliefs behind several Assassin's Creed games ago. There's no need to keep covering your ass with this disclaimer anymore.
Encoded in the double helix are the experiences of our ancestors.
I'm no geneticist, but I'm going to go ahead and say that's not how that works.
Welcome to Helix.
A company that's developed genetic memory viewing technology that would place it at the top of the Fortune 500 still feels the need to be evil as hell.
Who goes there?
A friend of the temple.
This is the second game I've played set in Paris, and this is the second time French characters speak the Queen's English. Do developers hate French accents so much that they can't even bring themselves to use it for French characters?
We are betrayed.
Well, not really. Fooled is the word you're looking for, since that guard wasn't going to let them in until they tricked him with documents. Oh hell, I'm gonna have to read the wiki for this series, aren't I?
And you, King Philip, no punishment is too heinous for the great evil you have inflicted upon the temple. I curse you! Curse you to the 13th generation of your blood!
That's an oddly specific cutoff point for your curse there, dude. And it's awfully convenient timing since the game is set during the French Revolution, when the king loses his head. I'm not going to look through the family tree to confirm King Louis was the 13th generation of French monarchs after this guy. I'm just going to trust that that's the limit of Ubisoft's writing ability. Why is every form of entertainment still pushing the idea that video chat is laggy and compressed all to hell? It made sense in the 80s and 90s sci-fi, but we have video chat and it's nowhere near this bad. And mind you, this game is set in the near future, so their streaming tech should be much better. So Bishop just hijacks some guy watching a history lesson, gives him a few sentences about how Abstergo is evil, then totally expects him to dedicate all of his time to helping complete strangers fight them? Knowing what I know about people who play video games, you'd be lucky if you got the guy to like you on Facebook. How many webcams does Bishop have set up for this video chat? Every time she moves around her desk, it switches to a different camera angle.
I will return when this hand reaches the top.
I see someone is well equipped with meaningful dead parent mementos. Arno's father is dead, and he's immediately adopted by this rich aristocrat-looking guy. Good on him and all, but shouldn't he have first checked to see if the kid still has a mother? I mean, he doesn't as far as I know, since she's never mentioned, but that's still a little presumptuous of him. Haven't we seen this opening in like 2 Assassin's Creed games already? Ezio saw his father killed in Assassin's Creed 2, and Connor saw his mother killed in Assassin's Creed 3. And now that I'm thinking of it, pretty much all of Ubisoft's games these days use dead family for motivation. In Watch Dogs, it's your niece, in Far Cry 3, your brother. I haven't played Far Cry 4 yet, but I'd wager there's a dead parent or two in there.
Calm down, Victor. I've only come for my watch.
It's my watch. I want it fairly.
If the damn thing is so important to you, why did you gamble with it in the first place? And why would these two care so much about a broken pocket watch? I would never accept that ante on the table, and no one else would either.
She'll need an escort. Won't she, with you so preoccupied?
One of you running amok is quite enough. Remain here and see if Olivier has any chores for you.
Cock blocking.
Certainement, monsieur.
You can't just have French characters who speak English randomly use French words whenever it suits your artistic decisions. After all, your whole excuse is that the Animus is translating it into English. By putting French words into the mix, you make an already half-assed excuse make even less sense. Ubisoft, do you want to know how to tell if you have a winning gameplay mechanic? Other games start copying it. This nonsense of climbing towers to reveal the map that you stick in every fucking game these days, you're the only one doing it. Except for Shadows of Mordor, but that game was trying its hardest to emulate Assassin's Creed, and ironically ended up bettering it.
A party? I wasn't invited.
You want to know what I liked a lot about Altair from the first Assassin's Creed? He didn't spend the entire game trying to be a roguish playboy. Arno's plan was to sneak into the ball, but instead of just immediately climbing over the fence since he clearly can, tries to sneak his way through the queue only to fail and have to climb over the fence. Hey, remember when we first met when my father was killed and your father adopted me, making us pretty much brother and sister? Man, does that make me horny.
Are you wearing one of my father's suits?
Lady, have you seen your father? There is no way he could fit into that suit.
Monsieur de la Serre! Monsieur de la Serre!
Really? The stepfather has been killed now? I feel like I've watched the intros to 3 different Assassin's Creed games in just the first hour.
Guards! Help! Murder!
How the hell did none of the guards not notice the scuffle and murder going on right behind them until this guy yelled? And why didn't they hear Arno yelling his stepfather's name? I question the idea that you can bring a violin into a prison.
They're killing us! Oh God, have mercy! They're killing the prisoners in here!
That's enough of that, you degenerate!
This guy isn't the main character. Seriously, he better be a DLC campaign.
Where'd you come by this, pisspot?
That's the second time Arno's pocket watch has been stolen, and our mission has been to get it back. Prisons just allow inmates to have practice swords so they can bone up for their escape attempt.
I had myself thrown into half the prisons in Paris in search of these.
Was there seriously not a better way for Belloc to read these things? Maybe bribe a guard to let you in? And why would there be ancient precursor glyphs on the wall of a prison that's only a few hundred years old?
Your father was an assassin, Arno.
Of course he was. Just like the dead parents thing, in Assassin's Creed games, the main character's dad is always an assassin. Except for Black Flag, where the role is reversed. You telling me they sat around in this cell for 3 months when it was that easy to escape?
What are you waiting for, Pissbot? It's time to jump.
You stopped and waited first. Why are you asking Arno? And he's dead. I don't care if there's a straw pile or water below him. And he's dead too. It's over an hour in and only now they've thrown up the title card. Fuck you, game.
I found that on the floor of my father's room. A no pin.
I didn't know.
Neither did my father.
I'm with Arno on this one. He tried his best to deliver that letter, chasing after the carriage, sneaking into a political rally, and finally leaving in his office. Somehow slotting the medallion Bella gave him opens up the secret entrance to the Assassin Brotherhood stronghold. That's pretty standard fare, but that pedestal is just a few strips of metal. How could you build any mechanism inside it to tell you when someone slots the medallion and twists it? You know, it took me a while to figure out what was wrong with this scene, but then it finally hit me. This isn't actual depth of field. It's low texture resolution character models that are swapped out for high resolution texture models to simulate depth of field. All of the higher ups of the Assassin Brotherhood were just sitting here waiting for Arno to arrive in order to initiate him, even though they had no idea he would show up today. They even had a chalice full of drugs waiting for him. Joining the Assassin Brotherhood has the same initiation as every single college fraternity. You know, I've always wondered about the effectiveness of these drug-induced initiation rites. How would anyone know with any certainty that a person would have a hallucination related to anything important? Most of the time when people get high, they dream up stupid shit. But in entertainment, without fail, they always dream up answers buried deep in their unconscious or forgotten memories of some other unlikely bullshit.
Hide in plain sight.
Which is made all the more difficult by wearing an easily identifiable uniform.
By pressing play, you'll be joining the Assassins.
Arno had to get high to join the Assassin Brotherhood. Player character has to watch a YouTube video.
Good choice. Welcome to the Assassins, Initiate.
This is every bit a but thou must moment, since the game pretends like you can choose not to watch the video and join the Brotherhood, but then gives you only one button to press. Stop jerking me around by pretending I have any say in this.
If we can crack it open, if we can sequence the full precursor genome, there is no limit to the knowledge we will gain.
DNA degrades after a little over 500 years, and the precursors existed tens of thousands of years ago. Abstergo's goal of sequencing their DNA in order to learn all their secrets is pretty much screwed by the same logic that screws the plot of Jurassic Park.
It turns out, at some point in his life, Arno came into contact with another sage. We need you to find out when and where these meetings took place.
How would you know that if you don't even have a clue of who Arno met with? To know if someone is a sage or not, you have to sequence their DNA to see if they have any precursor genes. And if you already had a DNA sample of the guy, then you wouldn't need to learn from Arno where the sage's body is.
You've secured the cathedral?
Nope, no way in hell can Arno hear what they're saying. In the previous games, once you assassinated a target, they would confess to you. Here you actually read their memories. How? No, seriously, I'm asking how because it makes no sense to me.
Monsieur Latouche, I'm here to see the King of Beggars.
Oh hell, it's always a king or queen of beggars with these games. Ironic titles are not always as clever as you think they are. Are we supposed to be viewing Arno's memories or actually playing a game within the game? Because these server swap segments have just thrown the game's already shaky logic down the well.
But you'll also run into a lot of incomplete and corrupted code.
Sister, you ain't kidding. Remember when I said this during my Rise Son of Rome video? This is like Ubisoft sticking the Eiffel Tower in Assassin's Creed Unity. Well, that was awfully fucking prophetic of me. These sequences serve no other purpose other than to allow the devs to mark off every single famous French thing, even if it didn't exist during the French Revolution. Wall full of parchment? Check. Giant-ass globe? Check. Map of the city? Check. This place meets all of the requirements of a secret underground stronghold. You know, I sort of thought the whole eating an apple to look like more of an asshole was a trope unique to movies. But here it is.
I've had my eye on you for some time now, Arno.
And you knew Arno was going to be here tonight because...
I feel it my sovereign duty to aid all those who suffered in cruelest bondage with me at the Bastille.
This guy was the naked screaming guy back when Arno was being thrown in prison. I mean, damn, and here I wanted him to be the main character. Still a better Mad Hatter than Johnny Depp. How come Arno doesn't see his target's memories in first person? If he did, he would know who the guy in the cloak is and could avoid a lot of trouble later on. Also, evil wears a cloak cliché.
Conspiracy, intrigue, a rapidly thickening plot. Add some bestiality and a lecherous priest, and I say you have the beginnings of a beautiful novel.
Also Game of the Year, or at least a better game than this one.
A blade of this make killed Monsieur de la Serre.
The Templars use an easily identifiable and traceable weapon that is difficult to kill with and is about the size of a hairpin.
Whatever he's planning, it's big.
It's also all on the very first page of the huge ledger you just opened, which doesn't make any sense when you think about it, since normally anything written on the first page would be the oldest entry, while all of these stockpiled weapons are recent.
And now I know where to find you.
Damn, he even wrote his address on the first page? Why even leave this ledger behind? Seems like it contains just about every helpful bit of information you need. Those were just candles, yet they go up in flames like oil lamps. Why did you stand around and watch everything burn? You threw the candles down there to set fire and destroy all the gunpowder. You had to know this was going to be the end result. Even though it turns out that Lafreniere was actually a good Templar who tried to warn Delisare with the letter, you can't help but sympathize with Arno's mistake since the guy dresses like a Sith Lord and gives long speeches in cemeteries at night.
Poison.
You can tell that just by looking at it? Come on, man. At least do that thing where you lick it then spit. That I can buy.
Their destruction, while inconvenient, is no obstacle. And the assassins have already proved useful when properly led.
Arno should totally recognize Germain's voice here even without seeing him. He even mentions misleading Arno to kill Lafreniere. Everyone else in this scene is standing in such a way that their faces can be seen, except for the guy in the cloak because, well, intrigue. Pointing a gun towards the main character as if to shoot him, only to shoot the guy coming up behind him cliché. Those guys are using flintlock rifles, yet fire multiple times without reloading.
Can't have gone far. Find them!
Go on. I'll distract them.
You had plenty of time to keep running and put some distance between you, yet you stop here and talk just so you can tell her you'll distract them.
Best of luck. He's killed most of my allies and intimidated the rest into silence.
Trying to pay attention to these two in this scene is impossible due to the other people having a loud political conversation nearby.
Looks like he was expecting a visitor.
Again? That's the second time the first page contained whatever information someone needed to know.
Aconite. Hard to detect unless you know what you're looking for.
Can everyone in this game identify poison just by looking at the cup or weapon it was applied to? Arno can just choke a guy against a tree in public and not draw a crowd or even a curious look.
You poisoned Mirabeau. He poisoned us!
What a surprise! The only character who constantly disagreed with the Brotherhood leadership and hated the truce between Templars and Assassins killed the leader of the Assassins.
And in an army, making peace with the enemy is called treason.
I'm pretty sure that's not right, regardless of what your philosophical ideas are. Yeah, just take a step back rather than to the left or the right. That will help you dodge the bullet. Setting this scene during World War II only proves that that time period would make for a way better game than this one. Wasn't Napoleon really short? He stands eye to eye with Arno, and Arno is about the same height as every other character in this game, including his love interest Elise.
You certainly don't look like a blood-crazed revolutionary.
And that's enough to convince me not to shoot you even though you are heavily armed and sneaking around the palace. I know I've already mentioned how bad the depth of field is in this game, but this scene takes the cake. Look at those books. Look at Arno. It's like they were just ported from the Nintendo 64 version of Assassin's Creed. This game tries to keep you guessing about who this character is, but then immediately spoils it after the cutscene by giving you a journal entry about Napoleon. Would someone please return Marcellus Wallace's belongings to him already? It keeps popping up in my entertainment and reminding me of much better entertainment. Why does a secret escape door require you to wind it for a minute straight before you can open it? Doesn't that seem kind of counterproductive to the reason you would need an emergency escape door? Are you telling me that Germain just waits around to recruit every single person Mirabeau pisses off to his side? Mirabeau refused to shake a stranger's hand, and that's enough for Germain to offer him a position in the Templars. There are so many reasons as to why you could never go around recruiting people like this.
Cut the ropes! I'll cover you!
Yeah, I got this shit locked down with my single-shot pistol that takes up to a minute to reload. Arno can climb up any building with ease, but a rope? Nah, all he can do is hang from that.
Had to dash. You looked so peaceful, I didn't want to wake you.
Note is written in French, but pronounced in English.
Which is a more incisive commentary on corruption in the bishopric. 7 nuns seducing a parish priest into debauchery, or an enormously endowed Benedictine sodomizing a goat named Pius.
Can we get this guy to write the plot for the next Assassin's Creed game? That's twice he's come up with something way more interesting.
Je meurs innocent. Messieurs, je suis innocent de tout ce dont on m'inculpe.
Oh, now you have a character speak French. So what happened to that whole business of the Animus translating everything for us? Does the Animus have a sense for artistic timing or something? There is no way Elise could come up behind these guards. The only thing behind them is the viewing stand Germain was standing on.
Arno Dorian, you are attainted. Your rank and title are stripped from you, and you are hereby exiled from the Brotherhood of Paris.
You cannot be serious.
Why do you even need the rest of the Brotherhood at this point? You've been the one doing everything anyways up till now, and you know all the needed details. I think you can manage just fine. And that's the third time Arno had his watch stolen and had to get it back. And as soon as Arno finished remembering that, he opens his eyes and there's a guy right behind him who can lead him to the guy who stole his watch. And the guy who stole Arno's watch just so happened to be at the same place where his father was killed. You didn't know where Arno was, you didn't know he was looking for his watch, and there is no way in hell you could have known who had it or where it was. But somehow you found it before Arno did.
This is what France has come to. Parasites, bleeding the revolution dry.
Did you guys leave out some background noise in that scene? None of these guards thinks it's odd that the prisoner on the way to the guillotine has a sword strapped to his waist and a pistol stuck in his belt. Well, at least it was something under the book this time. You had a full second to pull the trigger at point blank, man. Come on.
I will never talk.
Then right. We should split up.
I'm not sure that's...
Less chance we both get caught that way.
Decreasing the chance of both of you being caught does not outweigh the disadvantages of splitting up. Oh hell, I knew I should have read the wiki. How is no one ever crushed by falling rocks? Every time they just get pinned to the ground.
He's getting away.
Wait, I'm almost free.
I can take him.
Lady, you should consider yourself lucky he's leaving when he could just turn around and zap both of you with his sword. Why isn't he doing that, by the way? See, that's what you should have done, only before Elise got right up next to you and tanked the blast at point blank range. Arno can just walk around in public with a glowing sword and not draw any attention.
In the end, only we ourselves can guard against our obsessions.
This ending sounds like the stuff my relatives post on Facebook. 30 goddamn minutes of credits.
Seven nuns seducing a parish priest into debauchery, or an enormously endowed Benedictine sodomizing a goat named Pius.